In the last 24 hours, 12 Israeli children were murdered by the Iranian-backed Hezbollah terrorist group in Lebanon. This is a serious escalation on Israel's northern front as a rocket fired by Hezbollah hit a soccer field in a Druze village on the Golan Heights, killing 12 children and wounding many others. Israeli officials declare, "We will not go over this in silence," as IDF intelligence announced the name of the Hezbollah commander who directed the shooting at Majdal Shams. In the Gaza Strip, the operation expands in Khan Yunis. The IDF moves to clear an area it has not entered before while launching a raid on a Hamas command and control complex that was deliberately placed inside a school so that the students and staff could be used as human shields. In Judea and Samaria, an aircraft attacked in Nablus after terrorists fired on a military position. Let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto, and this is your Boots on the Ground report about what is happening in Israel on the 296th day of the war against Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, and all the terrorist proxies in Yemen, Syria, and Iraq. Today, we send prayers and love to our Druze brothers as 12 children and boys ages 10 to 20 were killed Saturday afternoon by a direct hit from a rocket that exploded on a soccer field near a playground in Majdal Shams. Over 30 other people were wounded in the attack, with several hospitalized in serious condition. This incident marks the highest number of civilian casualties in Israel in a single day since October 7. Israeli leaders now have some serious planning to do. The response to this attack must be harsh, or Hezbollah will feel emboldened to attack more civilian communities inside Israel. But if it's too harsh, Hezbollah might feel compelled to escalate quickly, and we could very quickly find ourselves in a full-scale war with rockets raining down on Haifa, Tel Aviv, and other major cities. Meanwhile, the Air Force is reviewing radar coverage at the time of the attack to see why the rockets were not intercepted. One possible reason is simply the difficult topography of the area. The Druze community of Majdal Shams is located on the slopes of Mount Hermon, where it is difficult to detect and intercept rockets launched from Lebanon due to the mountainous angles and topography. This is the second time in the last 2 weeks that a Hezbollah rocket has accurately and fatally hit civilians in the Golan Heights after the death of Noah and Nir Burns when a rocket hit their car as they were driving inside the Golan Heights. It is also important to remember that Hezbollah has fired hundreds of rockets and UAVs into northern Israel in recent months, and this incident does not necessarily mean there is a change in the equation. But the deadly toll taken by this rocket will require a different response from Israel than what normally takes place. Regarding the rocket itself, IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari announced on Saturday evening that based on evidence gathered at the scene of the impact, it was a Flank 1, an Iranian-manufactured weapon with a 50-kilogram warhead. Needless to say, Hezbollah is the only party in the region that possesses such a weapon, despite a lame attempt by Hezbollah to claim that the rocket that hit this soccer field was an Israeli Iron Dome interceptor, which went off course. Hagari arrived at the scene in Majdal Shams together with IDF Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi and the commander of the Northern Command, who spoke with the residents there. Halevi said, "There will be a severe response, and there will be a response shooting. We will have to be patient and attentive." Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also issued a statement on Saturday evening, saying, "I was shocked to see the terrible images following the murderous attack by Hezbollah on Majdal Shams. Among the murdered were small children who were playing soccer and also other murdered. Our hearts are all broken by these sights. We embrace the entire Druze community in its difficult moment, which is also our difficult moment. I can say that the state of Israel will not go over this in silence. In fact, the IDF spokesperson's office announced on Saturday that strikes have continued on Hezbollah positions in southern Lebanon. Soldiers from Unit 869 identified a terrorist squad that entered a military building and an ammunition depot used by Hezbollah in the Kfar Kila area. They were identified as members of Hezbollah's Radwan Force commandos who have been preparing for years to make raids into the Galilee communities of Israel, similar to what Hamas did in the Gaza border communities on October 7th. Shortly after the identification of those Radwan Forces commandos, Israeli warplanes attacked the building and the military warehouse, eliminating these communities and destroying their weapons and equipment. In addition, IDF forces attacked the areas of Jibin and Buna in southern Lebanon to remove the threat. This began a series of events which included Hezbollah firing a barrage of rockets at 6:29 in the evening. This barrage targeted the alarm in Majdal Shams, and the rocket hit the soccer field a few moments later. The IDF has revealed the name of the Hezbollah squad leader who fired this barrage of rockets was Ali Muhammad Yahya. This lets all the Hezbollah field operatives in Lebanon know that Israel knows all about them and that they will not be able to hide behind any mask. Hezbollah can't deny its responsibility for this atrocity, and even the individual field commander who fired the rockets will have to face the consequences. Meanwhile, the IDF confirmed that it launched airstrikes deep inside Lebanon overnight between Saturday and Sunday. The targets included weapons depots and other terrorist infrastructure in several areas, including Sabriha, Burja El Samili, Beka, Farkila, Rav El Talatin, El Kaima, and El Tarafa. The Hezbollah-affiliated El Mayadin news portal claiming that over 100 rockets were fired into communities in northern Israel in the same time period. Here at TBN Israel, we will continue to report on this issue, but it's very important that you really support, share, and follow us. And guys, we have to remember our communities in the north and in the south. They are suffering not only from the bombardment itself, but also there is no tourism. There's almost no agricultural activity that is possible. The economy of Israel needs help. So, a lot of you have been asking in the comments, what can we do besides praying? Well, one way to help Israel and the Israeli families is through our sponsor today, Artza. You see, each Artza box delivered to your doorsteps is filled with flavors, scents, and craftsmanship made here in Israel, in the Holy Land. This is how you can contribute to our effort. Go now to www.artzabox.com and receive fresh, original, handcrafted products. And not only that, you can now use our exclusive 10% discount on your Artza box subscription by entering the code TBNIL. Remember, it's a beautiful gift, it's a souvenir from the Holy Land, and most importantly, it's a blessing for Israel and for the people of Israel. Thank you. And now back to the news, switching our focus to the Gaza Strip. In the last 24 hours, IDF warplanes attacked the headquarters of Hamas in Deir el-Balah in the center of the Gaza Strip. This compound was known to be a staging area for attacks against IDF troops. It also contained weapons manufacturing facilities and workshops. This incident also highlights a trend we have observed in recent weeks of Hamas terrorists emerging from their tunnels to try and set up operations in civilian areas such as schools and health clinics. They do this in order to use the civilians in these facilities as human shields, believing that they will be safe from IDF attacks. But even if the IDF does hit them, they can score a propaganda victory by saying that Israel is attacking a school or a health clinic. The IDF has pushed back against these tactics by announcing that every possible precaution has been taken to reduce civilian casualties from such necessary attacks. This includes the use of precision weapons to strike the terrorists hiding inside them and the use of additional intelligence information. In a related story, the IDF is continuing operations in Khan Yunis, even as there has been a renewed effort by Hamas to fire rockets into southern Israel from this city. The IDF announced on Saturday morning that it is urging the civilian population of southern Khan Yunis to temporarily evacuate the adapted humanitarian area in Mawasi. Last week, the IDF made a similar announcement to the civilians in the eastern neighborhoods. In fact, This is an area that the IDF has not yet entered as part of the ground maneuver against Hamas. One of the last 3 organized battalions of the terrorist organization Hamas, which the IDF has not yet acted against, is located there. The other 2 battalions are in the Deir el-Balah and Nusirat. According to the IDF, this is an adjustment of the area in accordance with accurate intelligence information, according to which Hamas has located terrorist infrastructure in an area defined as humanitarian. The IDF said that its announcement to the civilian population were carried out through text messages, recording voice messages, phone calls, Arabic media broadcasts, and announcement. The IDF statement included by saying, "We will continue to act against Hamas, which uses the residents of the Gaza Strip as human shields for its terrorist activities and infrastructure." In the meantime, the 7th Brigade combat teams and paratroopers under the command of the 98th Division conducted targeted raids above and below the ground in Khan Yunis in the last 24 hours. According to the IDF, among the weapons that were found were shoulder-fired missiles, grenades, AK-47 Kalashnikov rifles, and other military equipment. As part of one of the raids, the terrorist squad was identified carrying out a launch in the area. Within a few minutes from the moment of identification, fighter jets attacked and eliminated the squad's terrorists. In addition, Air Force fighter jets have attacked dozens of terrorist targets in the Gaza Strip in the past 24 hours, including military buildings, armed squads, and other terrorist infrastructure. At the direction of the Southern Command, the forces attacked and destroyed a launch site in the Zaytun area, which was ready to be fired into the country. In the Rafah region, the combat team fighters of the Givati Brigade and the 401st Brigade under the command of Division 162 raided a number of military infrastructures, located weapons, and eliminated armed squads in close-range battles. Several tunnels were also discovered, and their content, including weapons and ammunition, as well as intelligence materials, were captured. The combat teams of the 7th Brigades and the paratroopers operating under the command of the 98th Division in Khan Yunis have so far eliminated about 100 terrorists in the area. In additional attacks in the area, terrorist squads that were preparing to shoot at our forces were eliminated from the air. Here at TBN Israel, we will continue to update you on these developments. The search for tunnels and underground bunkers continues, and over the weekend, a large and important tunnel was destroyed in the Bet Lahia area. It ran for over a kilometer underground through the heart of a residential area. The Gaza Division and the units of the Yalam combat engineers found and demolished this tunnel, but not before exploring it to seize all the intelligence materials it contained so that they could be used to plan further operations. Some of the bunkers that were part of these tunnels were stocked with large amounts of weapons and ammunition, as well as other supplies meant to allow the terrorists of Hamas to stay there for a long period of time. Elsewhere, Netzer Yehuda IDF battalion soldiers operating in the Bet Hanun area uncovered even more tunnels and bunkers and capturing large amounts of weapons, ammunition, and other war-making material intended for use by Hamas against the IDF. Incredibly, several rockets continue to be fired by terrorists in the Gaza Strip towards Israel over the weekend, including a barrage overnight on Sunday that was fired from the Mawazi area in the center of the Gaza Strip. However, the rockets from this barrage all fell within the Gaza Strip and did not cross over into Israel. One of these rockets hit a school in the Nusirat area. The IDF stated that the terrorist organization Hamas regularly violates international law while systematically exploits civilian buildings and the civilian population as human shields for terrorist actions against the State of Israel. Here at TBN Israel, we will continue to bring you the truth, and I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to a new tool we have for doing this vitally important work. I'm talking about the TBN Instagram channel that allows us to share fresh reports and updates in real time. So sign up for our Instagram channel and stay tuned to the truth. Switching our focus once again to the situation in Judea and Samaria, where on Saturday, the IDF, the Shin Bet, and the border police carried out an operation in the Balata refugee camp in Nablus. The soldiers came under fire while they were in the city, and according to Palestinian news, 1 resident was killed and 9 others were wounded in the exchanges of fire. Elsewhere, in Nablus, an IDF soldier from the 90th Battalion of Kfir was wounded where his post at the entrance of the city came under fire. Guys, we need your support. We need your support in helping us creating additional videos like this one that share the truth of what is happening in Israel. You can support us by clicking the donate button on this YouTube channel or by going to our website at www.tbn.org/Israel. In conclusion, I would like you to join me for a moment to look into the eyes of the Israeli children from the Druze community who were murdered yesterday in Majdal Shams. These are the names that were allowed to be published. Fajar Light Abu Salah, 16. Amir Rabaya Abu Salah, 16. Hazem Akram Abu Salah, 15. John Woody Ibrahim, 13. Izil Nashat Ayub, 12. Finis Adham Sfadi, 11. Yazen Naif Abu Salah. Alma Yaman Fakar Eldin, 11. Naji Tachner Khalabi, 11. And Milar Madad El Sahar, 10. Another murdered person is Nazem Facher Saab, 14, whose funeral will be held at 10 a.m. The elders of the village issued a statement saying that with great sorrow and sadness, and with calmness and complete submission to God's will, Majdal Shams mourns her best children and boys who were hit in the attack at the village stadium. Last night's fatal attack was the worst incident in the north since the exchange of fire on this front began on October 8, when Hezbollah began attacking the northern settlements in what it describes as a campaign to support the Palestinians in Gaza. I also want to pay my last respects to the heroes of Israel who fell in the last 24 hours. Sergeant Yonatan Aaron Greenblatt, 21 years of age, from Bet Shemesh, died last night of his wounds after being injured in the battle in Rafah in the southern Gaza Strip on July 20. The IDF spokesman also allowed the publication of the name of Reva, 37 years of age, from Shani. This is a community in Israel who served as a soldier operating an anti-aircraft gun in the Givati Brigade. He left behind a wife and 2 daughters. So please pray. Please pray for the peace of the children who were injured in this terrible attack by the terrorist organization Hezbollah. Pray hard for the peace of the IDF soldiers. Pray for the peace of the abductees and their families and their safe return home. Pray for the peace of Israel, and most importantly, join us in prayer for the peace of Jerusalem.